A local flood victim who fell on hard times has a reason to smile today. The big gift she just received thanks to the generosity of others. Plus, the Smokehouse Creek fire is now the largest in Texas history. The massive efforts to get it under control.
Plus, a warming trend is on the way just in time for the weekend. Your forecast coming up as Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
A Breathitt County flood survivor now has a new home. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox is in Breathitt County with more on how she was able to get a new place to live.
A $36,000 tiny home was donated to flood survivor Donna Jewell. Jewell lost her home in the July 2022 flood. She has had a hard time finding a permanent place to live since. Jewell says a medical emergency made times even tougher.
I lived in my mom's attic. Well, I had a tiny house that we purchased. We were making payments, and I had a heart attack not this past November, but the November before, and I was off work for 6 months, and I lost it.
Jewell said no one knows how much the house means to her. Coming up at 6, we will hear how Jewell was able to get the tiny home. In Breathitt County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Donna Jewell says she plans to put her tiny home behind her mother's house so she can help take care of her mom. It's been a difficult week for many in Campbellsville, but people say they have seen a lot of good as well. Last Saturday, an 18-year-old Campbellsville University freshman, Josiah Kilman, died after police say he was strangled in his dorm. He was on the wrestling team, and police say another member of that team, 21-year-old Charles Zeke Escalera, is charged with Kilman's murder. The Campbellsville campus minister says Kilman was super involved in every ministry they provided and was an inspiration to many.
And it was obvious to me from the very beginning, this is a young man who really loved the Lord and desired to grow and was going to use any moment he had or any way he had to grow himself, but also to impact the people around him.
Creason says he's been amazed at the tremendous support shown to the university from many in and around the community since Kilman's death.
Well, it's Friday, but the weather is not ideal across the region. We are gloomy, also cool, and a little bit soggy in some areas as well. Here's a live look at First Alert Pinpoint Doppler, and you can see a few more spotty rain chances, especially north of the Hal Rogers Parkway. Zooming into places close to the Mountain Parkway in Stanton, also Slade, pushing close to Campton for Wolf County, also close to West Liberty and Morgan County, and a few more light sprinkles or light showers in the Big Sandy Valley from Inez and Martin County, pushing into Louisa, also into Wayne County, West Virginia, also into Mingo and Logan counties in West Virginia at this hour as well. A live look from I-64 in Moorhead. We are gloomy, also chilly. That current temperature about 10 degrees below average. We should be in the lower 50s, most of us in the lower 40s on this Friday, up to 43 in Somerset, 42 in Jackson, 44 in Manchester, London, also Pikeville at this hour. And we see some more cool conditions as we go into your evening. So if you have those plans, go ahead and grab the umbrella just to be safe. More often on showers are likely. We also stay cloudy and those lows in the middle to lower 40s to start the weekend. But Steve, some 70s on the way by Sunday, Monday. Those details coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, improvements on the way. Cameron, thank you. Firefighters in Texas are desperately working to contain massive wildfires that have killed at least 2 people. CBS's Jason Allen is outside Amarillo with the latest.
The Smokehouse Creek fire is now the largest in Texas history and has burned more than 1 million acres since Monday.
It looked like Armageddon. It looked like the end of the world.
In Fritch, Ryan Hightower says she and her family almost didn't make it out of their house in time.
We no longer got off of our street, that the entire street was engulfed.
Hightower returned to this. Her home is among dozens that burned to the ground just in Fritch. And the danger is not over yet as firefighters continue to battle the flames, helped temporarily by snow and freezing temperatures.
The largest fire in the history of the state of Texas cut a path so large that it exceeds the size of some states in our country. There are about 400 to 500 structures that have been destroyed.
My 3-year-old, this will be her bedroom.
Tyler McCain and his family are still trying to figure out what's next after their trailer home burned down.
I want a house.
You want your house?
That was his 3-year-old daughter's teary reaction to the sad news. And that pain is shared by so many here, now facing a tremendous task ahead.
It's heartbreaking, not just for me and my family, but all the other families.
More help from state and federal fire teams is expected Friday, in part so local agencies that have come from around the state can return to their own communities ahead of more fire-friendly weather conditions coming this weekend. Jason Allen, CBS News in Fritch, Texas.
President Biden says the U.S. will begin airdropping humanitarian assistance into Gaza. It comes a day after the deadly attack during a chaotic encounter with Israeli troops.
The loss of life is heartbreaking. People are so desperate that innocent people got caught in a terrible war, unable to feed their families, and you saw the response when they tried to get aid. And we need to do more, and the United States will do more.
The president also said he was working to broker an immediate ceasefire deal that would allow additional aid into the war-ravaged area. The airdrops will help, but they can only bring in a fraction of the amount of aid that could be transported into Gaza by trucks. CVS and Walgreens are now certified to sell the medication abortion pill mifepristone in states where it's legal. CVS is planning to begin filling prescriptions in Massachusetts and Rhode Island in the coming weeks. More states will be added on a rolling basis. Walgreens plans to start offering the drug within a week in New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, California, and Illinois. Medication abortion is the most common method of abortion in the U.S., and this drug is at the center of legal challenges. The Supreme Court is expected to decide whether to restrict access to it by July. If you own a Kia or Hyundai, you may be able to claim some money in a massive car theft legal settlement. Anyone who bought or leased a Kia or Hyundai from 2011 to 2022 should be eligible for the settlement. If that includes you, you should be notified next week. The court still has to approve the settlement. A hearing is set for July. A new annual report from the National Urban League assesses how Black Americans are faring economically and socially in comparison to white Americans. This year, the index showed Black Americans with a score of just under 76%. 100% would be full equality. Mark Morial, the president of the National Urban League, sat down with the hosts of CBS Mornings to discuss the findings.
While there are those who push for progress, there have also been those who pushed against progress. Witness today the over 1,000 bills that have been introduced at state legislatures to make it more difficult for people to vote. Witness today the effort to, in effect, push back on DE&I, which is simply an effort to push back on equal economic opportunity.
Morial says there's still a lot of work to be done since the Civil Rights Act was signed into law 60 years ago this July. The legislation made it illegal to discriminate based on race and color, religion, sex, and national origin. Coming up on First at 4, tech companies are building artificial intelligence into more devices than ever, from smartwatches to surgical tools. We'll have a look at where AI is headed next.
Plus, we are tracking some more wet and gloomy weather this evening. Your forecast after this break.